Thank you, Jason. Just wanted to welcome everyone to our first official Career Pathway User Group meeting for the school year 2023-2024. If you have a chance to sign in, we have a link here that we'll have someone from our team put into the chat. So please go ahead and sign in if you can. And for our agenda today, we'll do welcome and introductions. We will get started on that purpose of Career Pathway User Group. We will be discussing a little bit on HB 3296, some legislation that is out there. We have some components of the CCPE application process that we're going to go over, and Heather is going to highlight some of those key parts as you are going through those applications. So she will be highlighting that. We have some questions, comments, and ideas. We also have a few people from the field that are going to be sharing as a part of those questions, comments, and ideas. And we will be introducing them in the middle of that. And then finally, we have our evaluation for the group. And so we'll get started there. So with welcomes and introductions, my name is Bill Rose. I am a part of the NIU Illinois CTE project team. Been working here for approximately a year. My previous experience was both in the classroom as a business CTE teacher, but also as a CTE director at a large public school. I'll kind of shoot it over to Heather.
Good morning, everyone. Heather Lucan with ISBE. I work with school counselors across the state and also with the Arts and Communications Pathway. And most recently, within the past two or so years, I work with the Pathway Endorsements and the College and Career Readiness Indicators. And very excited to be here and kick off our year again with these meetings that provides a wealth of information for myself to bring back to ISBE and also to provide any support that you all need in the creation of your pathway endorsement.
So we're going to get into, Jason, did you want to introduce yourself as well?
Sure. Hi, everybody. My name is Jason Klein, also part of the NIU Illinois CTE project team. And this year, increasingly, we'll be moving to support Bill and Heather with leading the Career Pathways User Group.
And you'll notice a few other people from our team as well in the chat, assisting us with chat stuff. Also, just here for their expertise and their personal interests in this work as well. So we're going to just kind of get into the purpose of the Career Pathway User Group. And Heather, I'm just going to kind of shoot it over to you to kind of talk a little bit about where we are going with this group.
Sure. So this was started, just for all of you, just historical, just started to provide support, to provide an opportunity to have contact with others that are beginning this implementation process or have started from the very beginning. So these monthly meetings will be in a direct response to what we feel is the need based on your input to support, like I said, the implementation of them, the expansion to ensure that they are of quality, and we'll get to that in a moment. I think we've got a slide with our mission and vision statements. So that's the purpose of these meetings, to allow us to work together, to offer the opportunity for conversation and presentations from some of those that are working on the endorsements. And also, I know, and Bill, you may want to speak a little more regarding the email, the opportunity to put that out there and get responses.
Yeah, and so just like Heather said, we're here to walk you through that kind of process that's happening throughout the state. But one of the key components of this group, I think, also is the communication aspect. And as a part of this Google group, we want people to be able to ask questions of others in the field. And so if there's something that comes up in maybe the application process, or you're doing something trying to implement a part of this framework in your school district or school, and you just had a general question, you can send it to our Google group, and we can provide answers, or we can at least have a discussion on that digitally. And so definitely something that we feel may be underutilized at times, but we want people to feel comfortable enough to be able to reach out to the field and say, hey, I have a problem of practice in my district. How are some of you addressing this in your school districts or in your schools? And so I think that's one of the key components that we feel could be utilized as a part of this group. So we're gonna just head right in real quickly to our quick announcements. For our quick announcements, the first one is we have our ISBE Career Connected Illinois Professional Learning Calendar. It's up, it's going for 2023-2024. You'll notice we start here in September, it goes all the way through May. We will be updating calendars usually around December, January time, where we'll start adding some dates for the summer calendar. But in this 2023-2024 calendar, you'll notice a whole host of different opportunities for professional development. There will be some geared for more teachers and instruction. There are administrator academies. There's a lot of work on the essential skills, which has been a part of the career pathways, and implementing and introducing those essential skills into our coursework. And as you go through, you will notice a whole slew of different workshops that happen both during the school day and just outside the school day to meet the different needs of educators in the field. Another, just one that I missed real quickly, we also have some diversity, equity, and inclusion presentations that I always talk about them, but they do an amazing job of getting people to see the many different ways we can support our students and staff as well. And so Jason or Heather, if you wanted to add anything, feel free to. Okay. Also, we have our save the date for our ISBE Career Connections Conference on June 18th. This is a little bit different from last year. We're hosting this in the summertime at Tinley Park. And I know that I think it was previous to 2017, this event was actually held in Tinley Park. And so we're really excited for this conference. We're still working out the details on what this is going to look like, but the save the date is generally just for you to put this in your calendars and hold some time. Also to share with your staff at your schools or districts. And then we also have the statewide equity symposium on October 4th that you can register for. And I'm going to give that one over to Jason. Jason, did you want to add anything on that? Because I know you've been in some of those conversations on that specific topic.
Nope, we just want to encourage people to consider signing up. It's a free event being put together by ISBE, and hopefully, possibly the first in a series of events. Our teammate Shavina is actually part of the planning committee, and this is a big deal across all of our schools, and it's another way that ISBE is trying to give everybody in the field direct access to professional development for free within your jobs, within your current roles.
Thanks, Jason. We're going to get into the career pathway endorsement data real quickly, and then we'll get into some of the other presenters as we get through this. So I'm going to turn this over to Heather to talk a little bit about the data.
Sure. Currently, we have 215 school districts in the platform. That means that I have received applications from 215 school districts across the state, And the map that you see there shows you where those districts are located. So that's a huge increase, and I see more and more applications coming in. I believe I have maybe 4 more in my box this morning that I need to attend to. So that's very exciting to see that increase. I think if you hit maybe, oh, I thought there was more on that one.
There is. Bill, everybody else will have seen a slide before this. Bill needed to have hit refresh there. I apologize about that. And so, but yeah, so Heather, they'll see it in their slide decks.
Yeah, okay. So what that says is that nearly half of the districts in Illinois are moving forward, though, officially with implementing the pathway endorsements. So again, a lot of these districts are coming in and they're starting the plan, and they do not intend to issue these endorsements until, some of them, not until that 2027 timeline. And that's absolutely fantastic to start this now, because if you think about that, again, we've talked about this a little bit, but the decision to implement is July 1st of 2025. So really you would need to have those in place in order to offer them for that graduating class of 2027. So that's very exciting to see that. And I have quite a few that are planning to issue, like I said, for further out, but they're still putting their plans in to get that approval, to have those conversations. It's a way for me and our team to be able to go in and check and see the progression, and have little spot checks of, could you look at my team-based challenge? Could you look at the course sequence and so forth? So that's very exciting. And then this is even more exciting, perhaps. Don't go back, the one you had. Yep, this one. We currently, for the 22-23 school year, we had 1,072 students receive pathway endorsements, and they are across all of the endorsement areas. So that's very exciting as well. We have additional data, the breakdown of those endorsement areas, the school districts and so forth, and that will be released next week. So you'll have access to that. There'll be, hopefully we're going to have that in the weekly message, but then also there'll be documents that are on the Pathway Endorsement website, so you can check that as well. So that's very, very exciting on that, and all of those have been submitted to our SIS team so that we can make sure that we get those in and counted for the college and career ready indicators as well. So kudos to all those districts and those that are moving forward. I had quite a few. I want to put this in there too, just to be transparent on this. I had quite a few that would send me in the info and say, oh my gosh, we didn't issue any. They had approved plans. We didn't issue any this year, but I promise we have more. Keep in mind, and this goes great with the next slide, if you hit that, or maybe, yep, one more. Yeah, the vision of our college and career endorsements is for the quality that we are providing to the students, and not so much the number. So the fact that you have built a plan and that you have these quality components implemented, we know that it's going to change from year to year with how many students truly receive that endorsement, but you're offering that opportunity, and it's something that I think is going to snowball and continue to grow as students see the relevance of these opportunities. So I just want to put that out there as well.
If I can just interject real quickly, one point Heather made in the last few minutes about districts planning for endorsements that will be that will not have students earning them until the class of 2027, our current 9th graders. Just yesterday, I was working with another group of teachers, and as they went back and forth between forwards planning and backwards planning, and in that discussion, they realized that based on their own internal district curricular processes, the processes with the community college, and let me add, this is a district that did just issue its first couple of endorsements to students this past June, included in that 1,072. So they've met that criteria now for 2027. But this endorsement that they were working on, they will first issue it in either 2028 or 2029. And again, that planning process that Heather talked about now, I just want to stress that. So. And I would say, Jacob, I would say from our end that there's not data that we have about that. There is work being done in that space. I will refer people back to Juan Jose, who I know is here today, did do a presentation in May, and that is up on the YouTube channel. I'll actually grab the link to that and drop it in here in just a minute for everybody. And then we'll continue to be sharing out ongoing work on that. So that's a great question. So everybody look for that link in just a moment. Back to Heather and Bill.
Thanks, Jason.
So as we move along, we're gonna move into a quick conversation on what the career pathway endorsement application process, what that update is, and how to go about that. And so again, Heather, if you wanna introduce that.
Sure. So this is reflective of the language that's on the website. There's a blue drop-down box that says CCPE application process. So I'm pulling this from there. So just to recap what needs to happen now, and as you know, we're transferring, in the process of transferring that PWR platform into IWIS. That I cannot give you a time frame on when that's going to happen. I can tell you it will be this school year, though. I know that. We are in the testing phase of that currently. So that's fantastic news. And now we're working out access type components for that and ensuring that what you're putting in the PWR is also showing up in the new platform. So that's the status on that. But for this year, every school that wants access to the PWR platform, that intends to issue endorsements or build their plans for endorsements, needs to send in the application. If you already have access to the platform, you do not need to send in your application again. I have a running total of all those districts, of those 215 that currently have access to the PWR platform. Once you have built your plans and you are ready for them to be reviewed, then you need to submit the plan approval form. And it will say at the top of that FY24, just for clarification when you click on that. And that is regardless of if your plans were fully approved, conditionally approved last year, and they have to be resubmitted for review. That's going to happen every year for now until we get the whole structure going prior to 24-25. So we just kind of need that to happen now. That is a trigger for me to know that, or signal rather, for me to know that you are ready for review so that I can begin to review them, that the team can review any components that we have concerns about, and then get the information out. So the plans for approval for FY24 need to be submitted no later than December 15th of this year for FY24 approval. I've gotten a lot of questions regarding what if we do not plan to issue endorsements for 24, but we would like you to review them to make sure that they're in compliance, that they have all the components and so forth. Please, when you send me, if that's the case, please still complete the plan approval form, but in your email that you send that form, when you send that form as an attachment, just indicate in your email just a short sentence of, we're not planning to issue for 24, but we still would like to have these reviewed. Okay, so that's that component of that. If you can go to the next slide for me, Bill. So all of those that are submitted prior to and right at the deadline of December 15th, you will have a status sent back to you no later than February 28th. After your plan is approved officially, then I will send the seals for the endorsement as well as an approval letter that says that you are able to issue those endorsements for the FY24 school year. And then at the end of the year, for all of those districts, and this you'll see for any district that has a plan that's been approved, you will receive an email from me with an Excel sheet attachment asking for the student data on those students. And then that obviously is then reported to the SIS team. So that is the other component within IWIS that we are trying to merge together to make that reporting of the students a little more streamlined. but for now, this is what we're using to gather that information. So it's very important to get those back in if you have students that have received endorsements, and those need to be in no later than July 31st. I think that that's everything, unless anyone has a question. I know that's a lot.
I have a question. If the platform isn't ready, how do people submit their plans by December 15th?
So
Did I miss a step?
they're building their plans within the PWR platform.
Oh,
And
okay. So if you want your plan to be approved for the students graduating in 2024,
yes,
then you're still working in the old platform.
yes, that is
Gotcha.
correct. Yes.
That's what I missed. Okay.
Right. And even if we opened the IWAS application or that platform, if we open that, say, within a month or two, trying to meet that deadline of December 15th to get it all transferred, I don't want to go down that route. So for this year, we're going to have everything approved in the PWR or via those forms. Okay.
Cassie, great question there. I think that clarifies some, probably a lot of people who had that question. So thank you for explaining that. Any other questions on these dates or ideas related for Heather?
James, go ahead and unmute yourself and jump in with your question, please.
Yeah, my question, hopefully you guys can hear me,
Yep.
is when it goes to IWAS, what's going to be like the EFE's access to the other school district stuff? Is it going to be something where we look at it as well? Or, strictly like the school district sign up and then we can get, like, if we have somebody helping, like have an approved user part of that? But I mean,
Right.
Is there any sort of crossover with the EFEs compared to the school districts in helping or doing some things along those lines?
Right. That's a great question. That's one of those questions that we're attempting to address as we look at the access. So as you know, this is based at the district level, which is what you just mentioned. So as it stands right now, what they're looking at is that the superintendent would gain access for if this transition occurs during this school year. So the schools that have been approved, so everyone that I have, the 215 districts, they would get approval right off the board and would get access to that. Then it would be up to the superintendent to decide the level of access for that. So the district contact, the district coordinator, and so forth. So when it comes to the EFE, that's something we'd have to work out as far as they would be tied to certain districts. So I don't know if it would require them to have multiple logins.
Yep.
I think, and Jason, you can maybe clarify this on this. I think you can have multiple logins tied to different organizations or districts, even with the same email, because your username would be different. Is that correct?
That part I don't know. I'll actually tell
everybody. That's what we've got. Yeah, that's like what we've got to figure out.
I do want to establish for the EFE directors or someone in ROE who's in a supra district role who works across multiple districts. Same thing potentially for folks from the area career centers who might be working with their partner school districts. You have to understand, we all have to understand, first of all, the design of IWAS is around the district and school and the RCDTS structure. And so there are conversations that are taking place in multiple spaces about giving access to other people to see stuff at the minimum in aggregate for their level of responsibility. So across school districts, for example, for an EFE director, but these things are going to happen in steps. And I ultimately don't know what's going to happen, right? I don't work for ISBE. But with that said, so I recently, last spring, created another new IWAS account. So, I actually included NIU in my username so I wouldn't confuse it with previous or different IWAS accounts. And the reason I need an IWAS account now is because the move to PD Plus for professional development, which actually happens through IWAS. So bottom line is, if you're an area career center director, someone in ROE, someone obviously an EFE director, more information. I mean, this is going to have to be an ongoing conversation, and I would say it is unlikely to take place until after the IWAS application is up and running. That's my outside question. So We're gonna want to keep questions. We want to answer all questions, but keep them short because we do want to kick it over to the districts in just a couple minutes. So we'll go Adam, and hopefully we can get to Lindy, and then otherwise throw questions in the chat because obviously we'll have the whole chat history and can be getting back to you. So Adam.
Sorry, I was out and then jumped back in. I just want to make sure I understand something correctly. We had a CCPE approved last year. We need to resubmit for approval, for reapproval this year. Did I understand that right? I don't want to do something I'm not supposed to do, or vice
That's
versa.
correct.
Okay.
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks,
You
Heather.
would just complete, yeah, you just complete that form and you indicate the plan that you, or plans that you would want reviewed for FY24 and then send that to me.
Okay, very good. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Lindy, go ahead. Thanks, Adam.
Yeah, I just had a question about the seal. Who is that sent to the school districts or is that sent to the CCPE coordinators? Are they copied on that so that they have a copy of that seal?
It's sent to the district.
Okay, so the district contact or the superintendent?
It's both. Both the superintendent and the district contact receives the email that has the official approval letter and the seal.
Okay, and so if that person changes like from year to year, they should just have.
They need to the superintendent needs to let me know that. Yeah.
Okay.
So I ran into that's a great segue into this comment that I will make. So thank you, Lindy. When I sent out a mass email at the beginning of this year, I made sure that I basically just copied all of my district contacts. Some of them came back to me and said, cannot be delivered. So if that district contact has changed, that's something that I need to know so that I can update that within my file. So all of the communication really should be happening with the district contact. The pathway coordinators, they receive different emails and different information. So as it relates to what their process is, so just keep that in mind. If that changes, then I would need to know that. I've also received emails that superintendents have changed or administrators have changed. So anything to help me get that information to the correct person within the district is crucial.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to kick it back over to Bill to move forward with this. So Thanks so much, Heather, and thanks for those questions.
Thanks everyone for those questions. Actually, that clarifies a lot of things that people are going through. So some additional resources you can find at the ISBE webpage on the ISBE College and Career Pathway Endorsement website. This has the updated office hours for Heather. And Heather, do you want to just kind of talk to them a little bit about those hours and anything that you feel is pertinent to this conversation?
Yeah. So the office hours are truly open office hours. So you can jump in at any time. You do not have to have a set time or whatnot. I've had people jump in and been waiting for me very patiently. So that's very sweet. And I apologize if I'm ever running behind because I'm trying to catch up with something. So right at the beginning, halfway through, near the end, the last 5 minutes, then I'll have them apologize. I'm sorry, I'm here for the last. It's fine. That's what the 2 hours are for. We can extend if I'm able to do that. And I will say that sometimes I have individuals jump in or districts or a team from a district jump in to ask questions or just sit and listen if there's a variety of conversation going on that day, depends on the day. I will tell you that over the summer, I had 2 of the office hour sessions where I had students that came in and we're asking questions about the endorsements. That was exciting. So like I said, they're open for everyone, and I'll make sure that I get October's dates on there soon. I'll try to do it in a two-month chunk so that you've got that. And if they were ever to change, I do my best to get those updated on the website. So hopefully it'll say like I know this shot that we've got now, the screenshot that we've got now, it says updated from this. So I'll let you know that as well.
And Heather, I think just everyone in the field is excited that you're offering those hours to access you and ask questions and just be available at certain times during the week when certain hiccups come up in our process, right? Or we have something that's not totally clear to us. So, and I think Deanne actually made a comment in the chat there. So,
well, it assists me too. I will tell you that. So it's twofold. It's a two-way street there, because they'll some of you will jump in and ask questions on a specific resource, and I think I need to get that, which just reminds me of something that I need right now to get up on the website. So it's a constant process. So I appreciate having the opportunity to work with everyone.
all right. So we are going to move into our next portion of our presentations, and this section will really focus more on the middle level learners and even younger and their careers. And so we have a few presenters that are going to speak to you from some different perspectives. And so our first one is Brian Giovini. Brian, if you're here, if your camera's on, we're going to kind of turn it over to you to talk a little bit about what's going on in Indian Prairie in your school district.
Yeah, Bill, thanks for allowing me to share some of the work that we've done. I don't have anything fancy to share, but I'll just kind of share a little bit about our mindset and our thoughts and some things that we've evolved over time as things kind of change. Prior to the pandemic, we partnered with a school district out in California, El Cajon Valley School District, who was doing some really creative stuff, who had a individual that came from industry, but had a mindset of really helping young people kind of do some career exploration that align to who they are as their strengths, interests, and values, and helping our young students kind of explore that through that process. That has evolved a little bit, but really the main intent of what our focus was to give students an opportunity to explore a number of different careers through their elementary school years, to provide opportunities and just see what's available to them. One of the things that we talked a lot about is just exploring beyond what either your family does or your neighbors do, and just seeing possibilities that are available to you as a student within our area and beyond. That was really our intent. And then at the same time, to really help students in connection with our SEL work, identify who they are as their strengths, what they're interested in, and then what they value, but also allow them to then explore that from year to year and to continue to evolve, because your strengths may change from year to year, but at least have a conversation. We really targeted our Title I buildings at the time. We have 21 elementary school districts and we have 5 Title I buildings. We really targeted those teachers and those staff, and they really bought into that experience, helping kind of build that culture around it. And our principals did a really fantastic job of doing that. They connected to art, where they built me trees to who they are and what their dreams were in connection to career possibilities. And then our teachers provided an opportunity for our youngest learners to explore 6 different careers that related to the RIASEC model. So they were able to explore each one of those careers within that RIASEC model throughout the year. They did a nice job of connecting it to either national events or their curriculum and exploring that within the career. As the pandemic hit and we've evolved, our schools have adapted in different ways, but really at a mainstay now, what we try and do for everyone, no matter where you are implementing in career exploration within your classroom, we want to kind of get to that full 100% model. But it takes time in a larger district. One of the main things that we've done now is provided 2 World of Work weeks. We partner with Junior Achievement, and we get 3 or 4 professionals to do a Zoom meeting, and all of our classrooms have an opportunity to Zoom in to that career professional, where they share a little bit about their career and how they got there and their career journey. We try and make it as hands-on as possible. Our kids love the experiences where they get to do something related to that career. Some of our biggest hits have been like a yoga instructor, where they teach them yoga and then have an opportunity to do that. We had a music professional come in, and they made some music through their on their desks. STEM is always a big hit. We had somebody, and this is always partnered with Junior Achievement. They find some great professionals for us. We had somebody come in who had worked at SpaceX, and they talked about the things that they're doing at SpaceX and space exploration. The kids were amazed at all the things and kind of those big connections to it. So just starting to give them opportunities and exploration of what careers are possible and what kind of opportunities align to that. And that career exploration is hopefully connected to then what we're doing at the 6, 8, and 9, 12 level related to our PACE framework and our career pathways at the high school level.
So Brian, we'll give you a few more minutes, but I think one question that people might have on their minds as they're moving forward is, what was one of the challenges in getting this started at that level?
I think for us, it's definitely size. You have 21 different elementary school buildings. It doesn't necessarily come in on the school improvement docket for all of our schools. So our Title I's really saw some, a need for that. So it was an easy adoption there. But just buy-in for everybody within this. When elementary school, they kind of have everything on their plate, from math and English and science intervention blocks. And so just how do you build this in, the other things that they're doing? So just the buy-in, and we have a grassroots kind of mentality a lot of times for some of these things. And so just every year you get a little bit more buy-in and a little bit more buy-in. So it's kind of a slow rollout. So that's the hardest part of it.
Can I jump in with two questions for Brian? One, Brian, who have been some of the key people? Right, you can't be in however many hundreds of elementary classrooms there are, even however many hundreds of intermediate classrooms there are. You're not teaching in them. You could only be in one at a time. So who are some of the other people involved in making this happen at whatever speed it is or isn't happening, but who are those key players and what would you say to districts, in particular, given that most districts, nearly all districts in the state, are smaller than yours? Would you have any advice for what that might look like?
Our biggest leverage point was our early adopters. We found a few teachers who were, yes, this is exactly what I want, what I need. And so they were change agents for their grade level first, and then their building second. And they shared some of that professional learning. And then we tapped those people to lead professional learning across the district for after school opportunities. So those were our biggest ones. And then during those district-wide events, you hear people talking, oh, I want to do that, or I want to do that. And then you hear a principal sharing with another building. So those early adopters were the biggest change agents for us, for sure. And then we also put in some time kind of during the pandemic where those early adopters built a little bit of a framework of how could you do this within the year. And then they made some curricular connections so that it wasn't an extra thing. It was like, here's how you connect it to this lesson in social studies, or this is where it could live, or Valentine's Day is coming up, and here's a career related to that, how you can really highlight that career while you're celebrating the activities of Valentine's Day. Mother's Day is a big one, right? There's a lot of career connections to that. So they were making natural connections to things that they're already doing in their classroom. And that was always I buy into this, but how do I actually implement it? So our classroom teachers kind of were able to share that story. That was always a huge bonus for us.
And then my other question is, what do you think are key next steps, and in terms of trying to either expand the work or deepen the work, and who are some of the people that you see being involved in those next steps within the district?
It's definitely the principals, when they make a priority for something, on their PDW Wednesday agendas or their SIP agendas, that's when you see the traction. Otherwise, it's just, pockets happening here or there of individual teachers. So it's going back to the table of the principals now that we've kind of been doing this, and allowing our principals who have adapted at their buildings to share their successes, and then trying to get some time on those other principals to continue this work forward. So they're really our biggest advocate for this. If they don't buy into it, it's not going to happen at their building. So it's really leveraging the principal and their work.
Real quick, Jason, it looks like Dan has a question. We're going to have one more question from Dan, and then we'll kind of pivot over to Sue as our next presenter. So Dan, go ahead.
This is pretty exciting, Brian. So, kudos to you and the district. We're kind of probably not as big as Indian Prairie in McLean County, but very interested in kind of what you're saying in our middle school. So maybe just to clarify, when you're, kind of how this is embedded in the middle schools in Indian Prairie. So this is an addition, like when the teachers are doing in their classrooms around, career exploration, that's kind of an addition to, you had mentioned the World to Work week with junior achievement. Are those two separate, and those are both kind of integrated into what teachers are doing in their classroom? So just to clarify that, maybe.
Yeah, and this is really more K-5, not even middle school. But the World of Work week is kind of it was our easiest way to get traction for all kids. You can get a Zoom, and any kid from the district or any classroom from the district can sign up. We alternate 10-2, 10-2 during a week. Anybody can sign up. So they don't necessarily have to be really implementing this to take advantage of that. But this was just our bare minimum of an opportunity to gain access to professionals beyond their classroom and give up 30 minutes of their time.
Well, Brian, I think that's a great opportunity for school districts to take into consideration as they're moving into this work and allowing this to kind of drop down into those younger ages, into the elementary. Me personally, I just kind of see it as an opportunity to have those discussions on those non-traditional careers. You mentioned that Mother's Day event, thinking about how non-traditional careers can really play into that conversation, and showing that you can really be anything you want to be. So really kudos to you and your district for moving this forward. All right. Well,
Thanks, Bill.
Thanks, Brian. We are going to then go into our next presenter, which is from Naperville 203. Leading this work is Sue Stridell. So Sue, the platform is yours. Is Sue here?
Sue was definitely in the Zoom. Oh, there we go. I see her now.
Sue's talking. We can't hear you, Sue.
Yeah, she's unmuted. We'll work on it, Sue.
We could give her a second to come back in.
Now?
Yep.
Yeah, there you are.
Okay, sounds good. So, great, perfect. Thanks, Brian, for sharing what's happening in Indian Prairie School District 204. We're Naperville District 203, and we are actually right next door. So, Bill, if you could advance to the next slide, that'd be great. So just wanted to share a little bit about our district. We are we're in the western suburbs of Chicago, and we have over 16,000 students. You can see kind of our breakdown on this slide. We are the 9th largest district in Illinois, and we have 23 sites, including 2 high schools within our district. And approximately 86% of our graduates attend college. If you want to keep advancing, that'd be great. Wonderful, thanks. So as we were going along, there were a lot of things that were framing our work. One of the pieces is that even though we have 86% of our students attending a post-secondary institution, 50% of our graduates, which is a great number, was completing a degree within 4 years of post-high school. So that includes technical degrees as well. So not necessarily just a 4-year institution. And then after 6 years, we had 70%. So, but that still means that 3 in 10 students, maybe they're taking a different path, maybe they're entering the workforce right away, but we wanted to ensure as we're going through this process to address all the needs of our students. So that data framed our work. So did obviously ASA, the Post-Secondary Workforce Readiness Act, PWR, Illinois PACE that came from that, and then Perkins 5, which promoted that continual career and technical education. And then we also looked at some of our local initiatives, including within our strategic plan, and then also looking at the American School Counselor Association as well, ASCA, and what what they framed as part of that, because they also include college and career readiness in their framework for school counselors. So our process then was threefold. The first initial process was really creating a comprehensive school counseling curriculum, 6 through 12. So that was the same process that we used with all of our content, other curricular content areas. So whether it's for literacy, whether it's for math, science, a foreign language, all of those, that same process we went through for our college and career readiness. And then our second phase was really then looking at what college and career pathways can we create. And then aligned to that, as Heather was speaking about earlier, is those diploma endorsements. The final step in continuing to increase and address these needs for our students is having data systems and looking at systems of support for all of our students, and making sure that the data that we're looking at can support our students as they create individual learning plans, but then also that we have data about what is currently happening with our students in terms of their interest, what are they exploring, and then the CCRI that happens with the state. So using that data then to inform what we continue to do and improve with our counseling curriculum, and then how we continue to address student needs with the pathways that we are creating, including the courses that we're offering. So it has been and continues to be a paradigm shift for not only our school counselors, who are actually loving some of this work that we're moving forward to, but just for our teachers and our buildings, and even for our students and our parents, to see that our focus is not just about college, but it's also about that career readiness, which they do go hand in hand, but that it's both and we're trying to create as many options as possible for our students, so that they don't realize, ooh, I shut this door and I didn't realize I shut this door. So it was a big change management process. And to answer, I know Jason asked this question earlier about like who were the key players for Indian Prairie School District. Our key players really were our building and district leadership, as well as our school counselors. Our teachers also have, come aboard with it as well, but I would say those individuals have really played an instrumental role in making this something that we provide for all of our students. Moving to the next slide. So as we were going through this process, the first thing that we did was really looking at what is our overarching purpose? What do we mean and what do we want for college and career life readiness? So we came up with a global statement, and then we also had shorter statements about academic readiness, college career readiness, workplace readiness, and overall wellness. That whole, like, what do we mean and what do we want for our students and their lives, and that wellness. So that all of those pieces framed our work. From there, Bill, if you could invite, yep, thank you, perfectly. We went through, as I said before, a full curriculum process. So in our district, we have 4 phases to that process. The first is planning and research. So we looked back at all of those things that frame our work that I mentioned previously. We looked at what other districts even could be doing and have been doing, what might be happening at that post-secondary level, and seeing how we can then work backwards to support our students so that they are ready for that next step, whatever that next step may be in their journey. Phase 2 then was curriculum mapping. So we actually created with our counselors curriculum maps that outlined the targets, the lessons, how much time all of that would take, some of those logistics, and did that as well. From there, we realized too that many of our school counselors are not necessarily trained initially as teachers. We did have some, so then we brought in our learning support coaches as well to really look at instructional practices and how do we instruct and provide this knowledge of skills and career exploration in a way that's going to be engaging the students. And then phase 3 was then professional learning. We provided professional learning to all of our school counselors And then we brought all of our learning support coaches as well as administration and other key players in to provide some understanding of what this larger picture was and what the curriculum entailed. And then phase 4 was implementation, and that had some bumps in it because we tried as much as possible to infuse things within in our existing curriculum, but we also knew that there needed to be some dedicated time to some of this career exploration. So we have a few different ways where we provide implementation, and I'll talk about that in a little bit as well. So if we could continue. So our learning standards, as we were going through that research phase, really came from the PACE framework, the mindsets and behaviors for student success from ASCA, and then also the social emotional learning standards that exist through ISBE. And then with our mapping, what we did even prior to that was create vision, mission, and we created what we wanted for all of our students, what we wanted all of our counselors to be able to do, and how we wanted them to support this work. And then finally, what the counseling program entailed altogether. So then from there, we created goals based off of what we believe are our priority. And then I have noted on here how we are providing that for each of our grade levels. And here I'm focusing just on junior high. This extends all the way through high school as well. And we have a similar framework for high school too, but just focusing on junior high for today, we have our priority standards, and then I listed on here how they're provided. So there's 4 whole group lessons for 6th grade, 1 experience, 1 self-paced lesson. So a self-paced lesson is something that we push out via our learning management system, which for us is Canvas. The whole group lessons are done with each building does it slightly differently, but for the vast majority, what our counselors do, since they're the ones who provide the instruction with each of the lessons, is that they will push into classrooms. Sometimes the teacher that's in that classroom may also co-teach a little bit, but the responsibility actually lies on the counselor as a whole. So you can see what we're doing 6th grade, 7th grade, and 8th grade, and then experiences. Some of the experiences are school run and some of them are district run, depending on what the target is and what we're trying to accomplish. So moving from there, this is just a snapshot of a top portion of one of our curriculum maps, and you can see what the overview is, which is that overall arching goal for that grade level. There's a flow at the top that shows what a student may expect or what counselors and buildings will be doing during the course of this. So you can see the whole group lessons versus the experiences here. And then after that, we have it broken down to units. And then within each unit, we have the learning standards or the targets listed, and then a whole group lesson, and then whatever else falls within that unit. So in this case, we've used the exemplar lesson model in our district. We have three to four counselors per building, and then we usually have one counselor that focuses on a grade level. So they are the ones that would be responsible. So the 8th grade counselor would be the one who is responsible for the 8th grade counseling curriculum and instructing on those lessons. Since they're one per building, they do have the autonomy to do a little bit of finessing with those lessons in order to make that fit for their population and adjust and adapt. But we provide an exemplar lesson. So if they just want to take that and run with that they can. And our whole goal is in creating the exemplar lesson is so that there is there's consistency as much as possible. There are some things that are loose and there's some things that are tight. The things that are tight is that the targets must be met. But things that are loose, we could push into classes. Some of the buildings deliver during a team time, so they might kind of reorganize their junior high team schedule for that day, and then deliver something to all of the students within that grade level team. And then another day they might address it differently with the other 6th grade team or the other 8th grade team. The self-paced lessons are pushed out via our LMS, which I mentioned before is Canvas. They try and keep track of who might have missed the sessions and do some one-on-one makeup sessions or have that information available in our learning management system. And then we have, of course, our experiences, and those experiences are during the school day and some of them are outside of the school day. The other piece that's tight, that we're continuing to tighten, I should say, and will be something that will be required, is having a home connection. So right now we're increasing that, and so most of our lessons have it, but we're continuing to add that to make sure that it is existent, is that at the end of a lesson, we ask students to do something that will connect them to the parent, or the family. So they'll shoot an email to their family, their trusted adult, and will share one tidbit either from the lesson or something that they did. So if they found a career that they were interested based off of the presentation, they might send an email. If I was mom, it would be, hey mom, we were exploring welding today. It came up during the session. I think I'd like to learn more about it, and then hit send. And so that is something that we're continuing to increase, because we want parent involvement, and we want parents to know some of the good work that we're doing in terms of career exploration for these students. The next slide, perfect. So then, as part of as part of our curriculum, we also did an experience at the end of 8th grade, which connects and aligns to the PACE framework. So by the end of 8th grade, a student should be supported to attend a career exploration day. So that was one of the things that we did. There's a short clip if you have a copy of the slides. If you click on the Career Motivate text there, you can watch it on your own time. It shows you what we did. It was a very, it was for every single student. It was a field trip. So they went for half a day. So we had half of the students come in the morning, half of the students come in the afternoon. We had about 100 businesses come and created an interactive hands-on activity for our students so that they could explore a particular career. We represented all of the 7 pathways that exist, and students were required to go through each of those zones as we grouped them, so that they had the ability and the time to explore all of the areas. So even if they weren't interested in anything in manufacturing, engineering, trades, they were still going through that zone. If they weren't interested in arts and communication, they were still going through that zone, because sometimes we never know what through some exposure, that it might just click and a little spark happen, and then we go from there. So we called it Career Motivates because it was for our 8th grade students. And we are going to be holding it again this year. That's last year's information. So it will be happening October 20th this year. And we are super excited because we have a number of businesses already signed up. And I think it's going to be bigger than last year, which is great. One of the last pieces that I did not, or one of the other pieces that I didn't mention yet that I wanted to mention is, as we went to phase 3 and we were looking at how do we collect data, how do we keep track of our CCRI, how do we look at some of this and provide a tool to help students continue to explore, we then adopted school links. I know that there are a few other school links districts that are out there in the state, but that was one of the pieces and modes that we used to supplement and enhance what we were doing across the board. So students can go in there. They have a whole section on career exploration. They have a whole section on college exploration where students can favorite things and do that. They can create a resume in there. They can create their individual learning plan and their 4-year high school career plan as well. So so we continue to scaffold all of these pieces. So as we did, like Career Motivates happens in the fall because we have a lesson that leads into that. And then after that, these 8th graders start looking at and creating their 4-year plan for high school. So in order to support our students, we wanted to give them an opportunity to explore some careers and then look at, well, what are the activities at high school that are available to me? What are the courses that are available to me in high school? And then make some strategic choices over those next 4 years as they're selecting their courses, and looking at how to prioritize their time and energy, that hopefully it's aligned to things that they're interested in, or it's there an opportunity to try some different things to find out whether or not those aren't a fit for their future or what they hope. So So that's, I think I've talked too much, but that's, wanted to give you a snapshot of what we're doing in our junior high.
So Sue, I would say there's never enough talk on this, right? Is that you definitely nailed what you guys are doing in Naperville, and we hope that this conversation really brings about more discussion in the future and more questions about, I one thing that I wrote down as you were presenting was that comprehensive counseling curriculum. Like, I know there's going to be questions about that down the road, and so we hope that people will reach out to you and ask those questions, or maybe ask them in the Google group. But we really appreciate your time in presenting all of this work and moving down the career pathway endorsement idea into elementary and middle school. And if you looked in the chat, you'll notice Sue put in her email there. And so please take advantage of that if you have questions around that presentation. We are getting towards the end of, we're actually over time. So I don't want to keep people too long, but as you're moving along, if you have time to take the evaluation here, please feel free to do that. And a few next things is, you'll notice in your calendars, our next meeting was actually scheduled for October 20th. We actually had to move that due to some other events going on. And so we are on Friday the 13th, October 13th is going to be our next meeting. We also, again, want to encourage people that the Career Pathway User Group, you can ask questions by sending those questions to the Google group. So you just type in Career Pathway User Group with the appropriate dashes, and then add googlegroups.com, and that will send that question to the group, and we can start having conversations around those topics.